All right, y'all. Today we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business. Gonna look at its local Google search, city Google search, see if it has BSS for either of them. So we're here in the GBC universe, taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture, and more about that. Pinned post, pinned video, home video, whatever. And that's because the FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. Those that are rising are doing a good job bringing in people from the entire intent ladder here, from the left high intent all the way to the right, the lowest intent peeps, or at least generating awareness. And the ones that are falling are, missing some chunks of intent, some intent chunk somewhere, causing them to fall. So here we're focusing on BSS. We're way over on the left, the basically the intent ladder. The highest intent people list people searching social search on all the social networks or on Google for, boudoir photo shoot in their city. That's what we focus on here. Then way at the end, focus on BLCS, boudoir low click syndrome. That's the other brand, boudoir FB ad doctor. On our other profiles, where right now we're only working with boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads. But those are the lowest intent people, but that's the largest group in every city. The people that are not searching for boudoir photo shoot right now. So we're only talking about the two kind of extremes at the moment. All right, so BSS, boudoir search sameness. As when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. So 0 1 slots on page 1 of Google. If we got 0 slots, we're dead. That's because we know approximately 80% of Google searches never go to page 2. They're page 1 only searches, which means this is who we care about. This is the bulk of the market, approximately 80% of the market. And we're invisible to them if we're not on page 1. So 0 slots, we're dead. 1 slot, we're also basically dead because we're looking the same as every other boudoir photographer who also has 1 slot. And then, there's 10 slots Google page 1 organic. So, if everyone's a boudoir photographer, they all got 1 slot, then basically the buyer's just going to click down through, open everyone's link, everyone's website on page 1, because we assume they won't go to page 2. And, contact everyone, price quote everyone, price shop everyone, whatever. And so 1 slot's not good either. We want to actually, our goal is to hit the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10, because we'll actually be kicking off our competitors off page 1 a large amount, and we'll actually be standing out, most likely being the only one with 3 out of 10 links there. Now, 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google is not normal. Extremely common, but not normal, is actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. Those 2 deeper root causes are, 1, basically everyone knows about, market saturation, and 1 basically nobody knows about, the false belief of page 1 equality. So first we'll hit market saturation. It seems to happen kind of every week. Someone gets a new iPhone, start up their Google My Business profile, throw up their website saying they now offer boudoir photo shoots, saturating the market, more sellers for the same number of buyers. Or someone gets a new camera, then they start posting them on Facebook groups saying that they offer boudoir photo shoots now. So market saturation means more sellers to the same number of buyers, making it harder for every current boudoir photographer that is a seller. Now this next one is massive, the false belief of page 1 equality. So this is, from what I've seen, the #1 killer of boudoir photography businesses, because this is assuming, so the belief of page 1 equality is, which I'll show as a false belief, is we're falsely believing that every boudoir photographer gets either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 on Google search. And so, if you got 1 slot on page 1, cool. If the market gets saturated, you get pushed down. Now you're on page 2. Oh, that's fine. Everyone gets either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 on Google. That's simply how it is. This is a false belief. It's false because Google will actually give as many page 1 links as to the person who puts in the effort to acquire them. And I know this because I went from 0 out of 10 page 1 links to 9 out of 10 page 1 links. Literally, I own 90% of the organic search surface in 10 days Why? Because I wanted those slots and I went and took them. I put in the effort to take them. Google gives the slots to those who puts in the effort to take them. We'll see that in like 3 or 4 pictures from now, or maybe, yeah, somewhere around that number. So it's a false belief, which makes people do nothing. If they believe this, that everyone's entitled to 0, 1 slot, every boudoir photographer is entitled to 0, 1 page slots, page 1 slots on Google, they'll do nothing. They'll be like, oh, this is reality operating normally. Yeah, I was there, I got kicked off. Hopefully someone shuts down their website, so maybe Google will bring me back on. No, incorrect. Google wants to give these slots to those who want to put in the effort to take them. And because people go on page 2, they disappear, and eventually their business disappears too. Because again, if you're on page 2 or later, you're invisible to approximately 80% of the Google searchers. So the bulk of the market. We also know that a boudoir photographer with BSS is a disappearing boudoir photographer, a DBP. So we got our building up our universe here. A disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. So, and disappearing boudoir photographer, this is the canary in the coal mine for eventually a disappearing boudoir photography business, is if we got 0, 1 slots on page 1, eventually we'll be kicked off to page 2, and then it's all downhill from there. So it's a solution. We got the solution here. BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka our S-cubed methodology. And we know this because we invented it. That's what we've been using. So this is exactly what I used to go from 0 out of 10 slots to 9 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google in 10 days. And it works with saturating social search, the high intent keywords, saturating those. So people search on social, they find us, the bulk, hopefully all, we're like the only ones showing up. And as a result, that flows through to Google page 1 search. Dominating Google page 1 search is the outcome, the outflow of dominating or saturating social search. So it all flows, saturating social search is like the river at the top of the mountain, the glacier at the top of the mountain that's melting, and the river at the bottom, the Amazon River, is all that work saturating page 1 on Google. And I know this because I've done it. Now, once true with the S-cubed methodology, we have page 1 visibility. Nice. We're no longer at 0, 1 slots on page 1. We do want to hit the GBC minimum, though, with 3 out of 10 slots on page 1. And that's because if we got 3 out of 10 slots on page 1, we're definitely crushing the people that got 0 slots. We're definitely crushing the people that only got 1 slot, because they look like nothing compared to us. And it's very rare someone actually has 2 slots. But even in that case, we are looking greater than them because they only got 2 slots. We got 3. People subconsciously wonder, why is this photographer why does Google keep pushing them? They must be good and give them so many slots on page 1. The extra bonus of using the S-cubed methodology is it kicks competing boudoir photographers off page 1, effectively making them invisible. Is the same for social search, but kind of we're talking about on Google. So only 10 organic slots page 1. Kicks them off, and as a result, we already know approximately 80% of Google searches never go to page 2. They're page 1 only searches. So approximately 80%, the bulk of the market's never going to see those competitors if they go to page 2, which means we're not being price shopped against them. We're not being, price shopped, price compared, getting quotes from everyone. I mean, if we can get 5 links organic page 1 on Google, that means only 5 links left for other competitors, and we've kicked off 4 other competitors back onto page 2. Instead of 9 competitors, we're competing against only 5 other peeps. Get smaller the more we dominate page 1. Now, page 1 visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. Okay, people can actually see us, because hopefully we've hit the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10. And a boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility is a visible boudoir photographer. So it's the goal, it's kind of the minimum, hitting 3 out of 10 links on page 1 to become visible, or confidently visible. And we care about the 3 out of 10 number because if we hit 3 out of 10, we're probably, treading water. Probably not disappearing, we're at minimum treading water, and also could possibly be most likely growing. Because remember, this is the result, the outflow of dominating social search. So anytime if we're multiple slots page one on Google, we already got way more than that. Multiple slots page one, many more on these social networks. People search these highest intent keywords. So Google is kind of a less than filter. So this is our universe here. Disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness caused by the dual horns of market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. It's fine, we got the solution now. Utilize S-cube methodology. Achieve page one visibility. Become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. So now my own results using this. You can see I wanted to rank for this term BLCS boudoir. So we'll go down to the organic slots. So organic slot 1, Instagram, me. Organic slot 2, me. Organic slot 3, me. Organic slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. Slot 10, me. Dude, I did this in 10 days. Got 9 out of 10 slots, page 1 on Google. So I know for a fact S-cubed methodology got results for me. And I achieved this by social search saturation, S-cubed methodology. All right, now to the main event here. You can see that this boudoir photography business has BSS, boudoir search sameness for the local search, for their local search and their city search. So, all right. All right, so let's see what we got cooking here. So we gotta go down to the organic. So this is the local Portage Park. All right. All right, let's see. Nope. All right, there we go. See him right there. We got one. All right, so we got 1 out of 10. Dude, we got BSS. Got for local search, we got BSS. We got 1 out of 10 slots. Google page 1. All right, let's go to city search now. Chicago, ill. All right, so scrolling, looking. Nope. All right, dude, we're at 0 out of 10. So 1 out of 10 for local, 0 out of 10 for city. So it means we do have BSS for both of them, which means we are not hitting the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 for both local and city. So if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, you've done a local search for the highest intent keywords for buyers in your city, in your local area and your city, and you're saying you've got boudoir search sameness, either 0 or 1 slots on page 1. You're not hitting the GBC to minimum on page 2. And you understand, you kind of broken through the brain barrier that, yeah, page 1 equality, that's a false belief, and we can actually take as many page 1 slots as we want. And you've also seen market saturation. Yeah, more people getting more iPhones, new iPhones, get new cameras, become boudoir photographers. But you also see AI going to be taking more and more people's jobs, leading into way more boudoir photographers coming into the market. And you're saying, oh man, got to prepare for this big supply side shock that's coming. And we can do that by, and you're saying, oh, S-cubed methodology, perfect. That's perfect for that. It allows us to saturate social search, which then allows, as a result, allows us to saturate page 1 Google search for the highest intent keywords. So basically anywhere any buyer searches, we are dominating kind of the attention space there. And so you're seeing S-cubed methodology. You want to achieve page 1 visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer, achieve boudoir search visibility. You want to hit the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 on all of the, local search and city search. And So you're seeing S-cubed methodology is what you want to utilize. And you're also seeing kind of the extra bonuses on the back end. Kind of more thematic keyword columns that we create that we use S-cubed methodology around the highest intent keywords, then the higher the probability that we get ranked here for AI overview for local search and city search, kind of as the only featured prominent one, because this is pulling from, thematic um, keyword kind of repetition, authority, age. So higher chance of achieving that with SQG methodology kind of as a back-end bonus, and higher chance of showing up in AI search. I actually have an AI search on the back-end ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini, Claude, Perplexity. Because I remember last time I checked for boudoir photographers in the city, dude, it only brought up 3. So if we get our kind of our thematic keyword columns created attached to our brand, then a higher chance we show up in Google, all these AI searches. And as a result, kind of some back-end bonus. Also, the more we do S-cubed methodology, kind of more momentum we build up against anyone else, any other boudoir photographers competing against us in our current city. So my plan right now is to only work with one boudoir photographer for a city. So we can build up all that distance, all that momentum, all these front end benefits, obviously, saturating social search and Google page 1 search, kicking other boudoir photographers off. Also the back end momentum, high recommendations, AI overview, Google search, and AI, all the different AI searches in general. And as a result, you're saying, hey, probably should be a first mover on this because someone else is a first mover in our city, then, and since my plan is to work with only one person per city on this at a time, then if you weren't working with me, you have to rederive S-cubed methodology on your own, kind of our proprietary method. And then even when you don't know if you're doing it exactly right, or exactly as we've derived it, then you have to equal our execution to maintain the gap between your competitor and your competitor who I could be working with. And you'd actually have to double or triple our capacity to kind of make up all the momentum we would have already achieved. And so you're like, all right, it's better to simply, be first mover on this, get prepared for AI to force some more boudoir photographers into the market. And so you're like, all right, SQ methodology is what I need. I'm ready to go now. So if that's you, shoot me a DM when my DM's open. I'm currently not open for new patient intake, but I will let you know when I am. The hospital is not currently open for new patient intake, but when I do open the hospital, keep watching these videos. That'll tell you actually when the hospital's open. Shoot us a DM and we'll see if you qualify for S-cubed methodology.